we at with what we requested?
Well, I think there's a disconnect.
That's, I'm a little puzzled here.
Mr. Bair believes he's sent.
Nobody here. See, I've sent in everything. On our end, and I just wanted to see where everybody's at. And go from there. I haven't heard anything.
So I guess my question is, like, where are we at with what we requested?
Well, I think there's a disconnect.
That's, I'm a little puzzled here.
Mr. Bair believes he's sent in everything that you folks need to make a decision. Which would require architectural plans, et cetera, and so forth. You've said you haven't received those. I've informed his attorney that there's this disconnect, that he thinks he's sent in what he needs and to send in, and that he's waiting on you folks to make a decision whether you want blow-up buildings or stick-built buildings. And I told him that from what I was understood that you want to build buildings with architecturally designed and stamped and approved buildings. And I haven't heard anything more since then. But
Okay.
to my knowledge, that's where it's at, is that he and his attorney believe that you've received enough to make a decision. And I've told them you haven't received what you need in order to make a decision. So that's where it's at.
Glad that we've had that conversation, but I haven't had that conversation, so it's good to hear. So I would love to just know what else you guys need from me to bring in. From in terms of the paperwork and all the stuff that was required last time, we sent that in. According to my attorney, he said there was just a big disconnect on a road issue and we couldn't pursue anything until the road got settled. And that you guys had everything you needed from me until that was done. And then I said, should I go back in? He said, absolutely. So I will, if there's something else I need, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Let's just figure out what else I need or you guys need. So I can bring that in here. The plans that we went over, I have both steel buildings and stick building plans, and we had both those options. Still are pre-engineered and everything, and the stick ones were just the ones that we'd already went over.
I don't know, we saw the plans for all those, though, did we?
You have the wooden ones. We went in here. I've got the big sheets. I set them on the desk for you guys to go over, and you guys kept a copy of them. I just want to know what else that I need on those things, because you guys we didn't have the concrete going the full length of the building. We had that conversation like it needs to go the full length, so we brought them in. The whole plans, the layout, the open bays, the 3 garage doors, like it was all what we had agreed upon. And then we had to go back and have the legal side. And so if I need to bring them back in, I can. And we went over the plans together right here in the room.
I don't think we had a very detailed plan.
So you want-
There was,
Yeah,
I recall a sketch plan.
yeah,
So we. so just-
And-
What I
what do we need?
and probably
Recall.
with some costs attached to it, because it's gonna have to go through the county, correct?
Yeah, the whole process is that first he has got to develop architecturally stamped and engineer approved plans. I mean, he's got to have an architecture stamp on it and an engineer stamp on it. But before he does that, he needs from you folks conceptually what type of buildings you want built. I thought we had given that to him by saying, if I understood it correct, you wanted stick built. You don't want-
Well, I said either one, either stick or
Yeah, that's what we
metal,
talked about.
steel, either one would be acceptable in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'd already approved the structural design layout of everything. And so if I just need to go have an architect stamp that,
I don't remember approval.
There's
That
never
could
been a
be,
formal motion to approve anything.
well,
that's what I
Yeah,
we
thought.
agreed upon the exact layout because we went back and forth
Yeah.
on how this was supposed to be laid out. And you guys had the plans and we said, yes, just make concrete go the full length of the building was the only difference that we needed. Is that correct? I mean,
That's where I remember it.
so I'm willing to jump through whatever steps we need to. I just want to know what those are. From both the legal side of things, when we need, we had to make some changes to the actual verbiage and layout of community grid itself. Those are easy changes that we're ready to make. The building plans, if we just need to bring in the metal engineered ones, which are simple, already done, and then if I need to get a stamp on the already agreed upon stick framed ones, then I can go get that done. I just need to know what exactly we are looking for. And if it's something I'm still pursuing, because I'm willing to go through the work and go do all this. But if something has changed and I'm gonna put a bunch of money into something that you guys have already made your decisions on or decided that you don't want to pursue, then I don't want to, you know what I mean? I want to be on the same page.
As far as I'm concerned, it hasn't changed, but I do think a few things have changed. In the fact that we have torn down the old kiln out there. Our
I didn't notice
crews
that.
tore that down. And then with that, the big winds we've had this spring have really raised havoc with the storage building we've got right behind that. That we utilize a lot, trailers, a lot of equipment in there, especially in the winter time. And so we've actually got a bid today to come and put some
Metal back on it.
back on it because it is wind just ready to just tore it apart.
Yeah, I mean.
So we are, we need to get something done. We do utilize that building.
Yeah.
So that may change that area,
There was
We need that
also,
building.
he wanted to enlarge the footprint that he was going to lease, and you folks also had indicated that you weren't
Yeah.
convinced on that.
that's- I'm not sure about that at this point with that, because we do utilize that building.
The only footprint I brought in, the layout was what you guys, originally what was told me to lay out. So we had the soccer fields, we had the building we were gonna add, and we converted the other building. If this is just gonna go strictly just to that one building, we just need to have that conversation.
Well,
Because the building we're
this
gonna build
is
is
just me
gonna be,
speaking. I would say that one building, maybe some on the south, but over where that building, if we put some money into that, we're gonna utilize that building. Or it'll have to be replaced also, and that would be costly too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we put some money in that, and we do utilize it a lot.
Okay.
So, we are gonna go ahead and hopefully do that, so
okay, so the original layout, which
may,
everybody had of that whole corner where we were gonna do the soccer fields on the north end of the building, where those concrete buildings were, we were gonna tear that down. And then where the tin buildings are, the ones that you're getting to put something on now. Right, cause the original layout was all of this
Yeah.
for this brand new building, brand new everything.
well, not originally, but originally it was just the building. And
It was
then-
originally
then
the
that was
building,
added, yeah.
Then we had a meeting with
Yeah.
everybody in here,
Yeah.
not just you guys, but with all the
Yeah.
different departments, and that's what it evolved into. Was that whole space, and so we came back with the plans after that conversation. And so now we're looking at potentially not, because this all hinges on this whole
Yeah,
complex actually being created like it needs. to be
so we
done.
put some money into tearing those buildings down. Our crew did it, but it did cost some money to do that, so we've got some investment there.
Which was a conversation point at one point anyways.
Yeah,
Could the
yeah.
county participate in this
Yeah.
somehow by tearing a few things down, and it came down to road and bridge guys were too busy, but this winter was great, to free up some time, not having to move snow.
So that may change, but I think the initial thing we talked about was the building. And really, that's the first hurdle we gotta get over, right?
Yeah, well, we've agreed upon, we know what size that building is, like
Okay,
that
and we've
engineer
agreed
plan,
on
that's
that,
easy,
yeah,
like
okay.
that's no big deal to bring in the actual stamp plans of what that building could be.
Yeah.
But we need to have a conversation of the whole place, right? Is
Yeah,
this
and
gonna be the full
that, like I
complex?
said, that's just my opinion at this point is.
Okay.
We need to put some more money in that building. We need to utilize it.
Yeah.
And we do need it. We use it a lot, so.
Well, and I mean, we can walk circles, but the new building is gonna be extremely more usable. you currently have, right, with all your things.
No matter what we build, we're gonna use it.
Correct, which is a good thing. right?
We've got a
The-
lot of
the-
you.
I mean, I don't want there to be a misunderstanding with what I'm trying to accomplish, right? I'm trying to build something back to the community and not take something from the community either, right? The
Yeah.
goal is this is something that benefits everybody. I would have no desire to build a brand new building and then put a bunch of money into building new buildings and remodeling an existing building, if this wasn't something that was gonna better where we are in our community, right? And that's my goal. More than anything, that's somebody else's goal. It's motivating me and help me in this, right? But this is to give back to what we have here in our community. So how can we make this better? And if this is something that we're just gonna keep chipping away at and it's eventually gonna turn into it's not worth it, right? Where that building's one big windstorm away from having to put a bunch of money into it too, from the county's perspective, right? Which you've seen after this spring. And so we could either make this a really nice part of town and all come to agreeance that this is how we can do it. And I think we've gone a long ways in getting to that point, or we just say, you know, if it's just a building where we can't build another building that's gonna be a basketball volleyball facility and we can't have some fields for an actual sports complex out around it, then you know, it's chiseling it down to where it might not be worth the effort, right?
Well, I think we just have to look at how that building ties in with the full plan, you know, at this point.
Yeah. I'll show this guy to you guys really quick, just as a
So just
reminder.
take away the software, that's what I think is what they're talking about.
Yeah, so this is how we have it laid out, right? This is the one we presented to everybody here. That's the building. We would add a basketball facility here. This would be soccer fields. There'd be a city park here. And then we'd have a little field here south and a parking lot and softball fields over in this corner.
Yeah, just some of this up here, you know, they have to really look at that. So I'm thinking that's.
Okay, well, is it soon enough to and the new building to replace this is gonna go right here, or, you know, we had built those, we had those laid out separately. But you guys wanted it to be one building, not separate buildings. And so. When do we make that decision, right? Like, are you guys already committed to spending the money into putting into those buildings? Is it done, checked off on, or are we just at the bid process on fixing up those other buildings?
We have one building that we're gonna put, and we have a bid that we'll look at today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. We're saying we may relook at it, right? I'm just thinking timing's really good that nothing's been committed to or done. If we wanna try to make this whole thing work, if it's still a possibility.
Well, I don't think we can wait. I mean, we gotta do something. We gotta get it done this summer.
Yeah.
When we can, you know, we can't wait.
Are you building a new building or you just putting
No.
tin back on the?
No,
Oh,
reframing.
okay. So that's not gonna be.
Yeah,
A
it's-
giant expense.
no, but it's an expense, so.
Correct.
So if you're going to make a decision to proceed, then I think the steps are, one, you'd have to make that decision that you think that you want to proceed with this. Two, make a determination as to what ground you'd be willing to lease and what ground you're not willing to lease, which ground you're going to keep. Three, then a decision made as to whether you're going to have metal buildings or stick-built buildings. Once you get that decision made, then he needs to get architecturally approved plans for those buildings. And they need to be approved and a preliminary estimate as to what that's gonna cost to build those.
Yeah.
Then he has to raise the money to build those. And those buildings have to be built. After those buildings are built and accepted, well, he has to raise the money to build them, but the money has to be donated to the county because the county has to go through the bid process to actually build them. And so if the architectural, just as an example, comes in at $1 million, not that I have any idea,
Yeah.
but it comes in at $1 million and he donates $1 million, but then when you get your actual bids in, they're 1.2 million to build, then he's got to come up with another 200,000 to get those built. Then after those are built and the county has accepted them, then you would enter into the long-term lease for whatever property you were going to allow to be leased. So it's those are all the steps. And then once the property has been leased to him for a specific purpose, then he'd have to raise the money to make the improvements to do
Yeah.
whatever's gonna be
Whatever.
done on the leased property. And it could be used for those limited purposes for under the lease. And then, and so you and commissioners have to project out, well, how much are we going to retain enough property and space there to be able to meet our needs for the next 50 years, because that's what you have now is space to expand over the next 50 years.
And we've gone back and forth on like the terms of the agreement and everything, and that's exactly what was in, I think, written up, correct? Between you and Troy.
Not quite, but it's that basic outline is there.
Is there, it sounded just like what we.
There's no, there's a lot of detail that would have to be put into it that's not there.
Yeah, but I'm in agreement with everything, it's not like there's anything here blindsiding me on the process, like the process is exactly what we thought. We asked for, all we were asking for is the intent to lease, because that allows us to go raise the money. This will be intent to lease, it works for the grants, so we can apply for all those grants and get everything going. And if, we have to put a little bit of money to keep that tin on that building, right? We have a 2-year intent to lease to do that. I just want to see the big picture, what we're pursuing. I don't want to spend a ton of time.
But in
two
the
different
meantime,
things.
we still have to operate
Right.
what we need to do, and things could change.
Yeah,
See what
that's
I'm
why,
saying?
once we go to the point of let's vote with this intent to lease, right?
Yeah,
That's what the plan is, right? And we have to be able to agree that that's what we're gonna be shooting for over those 2 years. We can't have an intent to lease and agree upon something and then, well, we want things to change a year and a half into it when we have that agreement so that we can get things going. I intend to not wait 2 years to raise the money. That's not my goal. I don't like to wait around and get things done forever.
well, we've been a long time to this point, though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that that's 100% mine or yours, right? That's
Yeah.
showing how long this has taken.
That's true, but it's
Once we
been
get to
quite a
the
while.
point, like I've already worked on raising the funds, and that to me isn't the issue, right? It's the process of government we have to follow to get to where we're at is what is the slow up on everything, and that's fine. It is what it is, but raising the money, we've already got over $1 million of committed funds and time and materials committed to, signed down and everything to build and go forward on this project, like, because we need that to raise the grants, right? So we have what's going to be put towards the project and the time, materials and money that's going to go towards a grant. And we also have, if we have an intent to lease the property and a nominal lease qualifies as something that we can use towards leveraging.
I don't know how the donated time it's gonna work, or the county has to go to the bid process.
No. I'm talking the community grid, what we're trying to accomplish, right?
Okay,
Right. I'd have to have the money,
yeah,
physical money to hand to you guys for the bid process. That I understand.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, this whole project is gonna be way more than this little building, this big building that we're gonna be replacing, right? I mean, we're building in another building, we're remodeling the existing building, putting in outdoor fields. We already have a grant that's lined up. It'll do all the lighting for all the soccer fields and the football fields outdoors. The parks would already be, there's a grant that will cover all the park that would be going in there. I mean, there's a whole bunch of this stuff that's easy to roll forward and get going. I mean, it's not easy, it's gonna be a process, but, that to me that's the easy
so I
part.
guess in my opinion, what we need to do is look at, I think we need to reduce that size.
Okay.
That's my opinion, because we're gonna utilize that at this point. Reduce that north side of that. And then get the architectural drawings and the cost estimates on those.
Okay.
What else, like you?
Then you folks need to make it, one of the problems is of course that there's elections every 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So you folks can commit to this project and then an election occur and none of you are hearing the new people come in and say, well, we don't agree to that. And you can't bind a future board of county commissioners.
Okay, so they're every 2 years, correct? And we just had an election process, so
Well,
that timing wise could be pretty good.
That was just a primary. The
Right, I
election.
mean, starting
is in
November.
Or November, right?
November.
Correct, but what I'm saying is if we time this up where.
And they
we're
take
not
office
committing-
in January. You
Yeah,
aren't gonna have this done by January.
Why can't we have it done by January?
Maybe you can't, I don't know, you're
I
not
mean,
gonna have
we're
it built.
2 years into this, like, all I'm saying, is I get architectural plans, drawings, and all we need is an agreement, right? And we've gone through the process. Was there a huge reason why it couldn't be done by?
Well, the letter of intent could,
That's
certainly
all we
done
need, and that's the
by
only thing I
January.
would obligate.
what I'm saying, you are gonna have your cost, I mean, you're not gonna have these new buildings built by January.
No, but the only thing we'd be holding the council to will be that 2 year, intent to lease to get the building built, right? If it doesn't happen in that 2 year time period, then it's off the table anyway.
Right, so if we could get all of those other things lined up by January, when the new board comes in, then that new board can make a decision as to what they're willing to do and not do.
So I've been doing all the time. I don't know how these guys feel, so I would like them.
I'd love to hear.
That's the way I feel.
Has anything changed with the city's aspect on it?
They're willing to provide water and sewer for free of the entire life of the facility.
Really? Wow.
That may change when we have our other meetings with the city here coming up possibly. Well, Commissioner Hill, from my perspective, I've always been reluctant to move forward on this project. I feel like down the road that I have concerns that the project could end up back in the county's lap, and there's no way we could afford to support that kind of a facility. The risk to me is too good. And if I was pressed to make a decision on it today, on whether or not to proceed, I would vote against proceeding with it. So that's where I stand. So
I'd like to see what happens in a year.
I did hear you.
I would like to see how it progresses to January, where we get,
Go ahead.
have the plans and the draft and everything.
Pursuing this to January, right? I want to make sure if I'm pursuing it, I want to pursue the whole property and whatever I need to talk through to get to that process. If we're just throwing out like, let's see what it looks like, right? And to your note, if we put in a soccer field and it's all at our expense and there's zero expense to the county wants to come back in and take it over and turn it into a gravel pit or whatever, they can take it up, turn it into a gravel pit. There won't be anything there other than remodeled nice buildings for the county to use. I mean, there's nothing that you have to sustain and keep running after that fact.
I think what the goal is maybe to get to a letter of intent by January,
That would be great.
and the decision might be no in January, and it might be yes. So you have to decide what you're going to put in, efforts you're gonna put into it, but to be able to get to that letter of intent, we
need to have an
You've
agreed
gotta-
upon piece of ground we can use.
What ground they're gonna let us use,
Yeah.
is what I feel like.
Look
You
at
guys
that.
need to
There's
decide what,
There's gotta be negotiations on what ground is available and not available.
Yep.
There's gotta be completed architecturally approved and engineer approved plans. And once that's all negotiated out, and if the commission decides to move forward, then that's when that letter of intent would be signed to give you a 2 year period to raise the money and build buildings.
Buildings, yeah. Okay, well, I can by our next meeting, have architectural plans laid out, that's easy. And then I guess from now till January, we have multiple conversations about a piece of ground that could be utilized or not utilized.
Well, and when we do that, I would like to involve Brandon and Rowdy in that.
I would love to as well, that'd be great.
So,
okay,
Okay, well, I feel like until next time, we can. I'll go get architectural plans, that way there's no question as to what we're looking
Yeah.
at there.
and I think cost estimates would be on those.
I mean, yeah. the part of the whole agreement of this was that I could be one of the builders because I got a public works license and we could be one of the bidders on the process, right? And so that's not a conflict. We went over that. And so,
We can't allow you to, nothing in the agreement can provide that you will be the builder.
correct, but
What happens is that we'll go through the normal bidding process. If we go through that normal building process and you turn out to be the low bidder, then that
perfect. And so we were to bid.
But you're gonna have to be bonded.
Better,
you're gonna have to be bonded and all of that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
correct. Good, all done already, so good. Okay, thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay. Pushed in just a little bit. Carol and Lori, our assessor and treasurer. You have a software purchase request for us. And Josh, I'm assuming you're here as
Yeah.
informational input regarding purchase of software.
Does this help all your departments?
Yes. So, do you want me to start off?
Yes, you can.
So, I know throughout the years, you've been very aware that our software that Lori and I use for our offices and our procedures kind of on the end of life or just not functioning to the best of its ability anymore. And the company, it's actually owned by a company that's called Harris. And Computer Arts is part of that. They have another company within that umbrella. It's called Momentum Technologies. I've been part of the software committee with the Assessors Association. And we've been trying to seek options and see if the state could kind of get a state software due to funding and stuff that was just kind of put on the back burner. It has got to a point that now Computer Arts, was who we are with, is recommending to us to transition over to this Momentum Technologies, which is under their same umbrella, and they are willing to help make that transition and have come up with a really affordable package. It's still a lot of money, but it's the best thing that has been offered to us. Lori and I and John, we've participated in several demos over the last several years trying to find some software. And so the price point that they have presented to us is really unmatched. So I had the conversation with Blake,
When you say unmatched, what,
like it's so low that.
oh, in comparison to
in
what else
comparison
you've
to what
looked
we've
at?
Been offered with the others, yes. So we're just coming to make this presentation to you. The concern is, because it is a big purchase, and I visited with Blake, it's under the same umbrella, so it's not like we're changing. Yeah, having to do the RFP. Do we need to go to an RFP? Do we need to do all of the contract seeking and, so from there, we've met with Momentum multiple times, and what they have come up with is kind of a time frame, but for an annual or a one-time license. So one-time license and implementation, it's $152,321. And then we also need the public access, and a one-time implementation and license fee for that is $53,950. Together, that total is $206,271. And then what Momentum is offering, there are 8 counties that are on Computer Arts.
In the state?
In the state. There's only 8 counties on Computer Arts. And they've met with all of us, and they are getting commitments from several other counties. The more counties that commit, the bigger they're giving us a discount. So if 2 to 3 counties commit, they'll give a 10% discount on that $206,271. 4 to 6 counties, a 15% discount, and then 7 to 8 counties, a 20% discount. One of those 8 counties has already opted to go with a completely separate software. They do have commitments out of 2 other counties already. and she had meetings with 2 or 3 more. So the potential is, there is some, that it won't be that total of 206,000, but we do need to ask for that initially.
Did I ask for Josh's input on this? Because you apparently have been involved
Absolutely.
from like ground zero
This
from
is-
the get-go.
Yeah, and this is something we've known has been coming for several years. The current package that Lori and Carol's office use for tax assessment, property management, computer arts, they'll still support it, but they're not going to maintain it any further. And they've publicly said that. So we need to transition to something else. There's no doubt about it.
Okay,
This year, the fees for property systems, they're going up 15%, and as counties continue to come off it, that's just going to keep increasing. So the other two options really for the state of Idaho is Tyler Tech, and you're looking at $1 million minimum just to go with that vendor. The second one, they signed a contract with one county in the state of Idaho, so it's an unknown. I wouldn't recommend going that direction yet. And
because it hasn't been tried.
it hasn't been tried. And there's some unknowns on if they will adapt to yearly legislative changes.
Oh, hello.
Which that's a problem.
Huge.
Potentially. Momentum, they've had a relationship with state tax commissions for years. And the state tax commission essentially will be subsidizing some of the licenses in this contract. So to replace the system as a whole, we're not gonna find a better price. And another real benefit of going with Momentum is the data conversion, since it's all in-house, essentially within the same software company umbrella. They'll manage all that, which is a huge thing, because we're talking years and years.
We've had some
Records.
minor data conversion work with computer arts in the past
Mhm.
that have had some challenges,
Sure.
as I recall. Think we can work past that or get around
I
it?
think This is the best option at a successful data migration. Because
Okay.
the companies, it's all within the same company. So going from what we have now to one of these other two options, the data migration in that scenario is a lot more questionable.
Okay, has greater risk
Yes.
than trying to do it in a quasi in-house environment.
Correct.
And we have the working relationship in place.
And they're willing to work together, these two divisions within Harris Corporation. So that's a huge win.
All right.
This will be the standard 3 to 7% increase a year.
I'm not sure on that. I don't think it is actually. Do you have year
Right.
2 and 3? I know
No.
the year 2 total
So-
maintenance cost is $60,000 for
Yeah.
both modules. After year 2, I'm not sure. I don't think it's the standard 5%. So that's it.
And how do we propose to
Yeah.
fund? Go.
And from the legal side, the problem we face is that, bidding statute provides that if it's gonna be between $75,000 to $150,000, it requires the county to go through an informal bid process and get 3 bids. So if they would lower the price down to 150,
49.
yeah, 149, that would allow you to at least do the informal bidding process and get where you need to be on the exceptions. And I don't know, you mentioned other counties have already signed up with them. I don't know if they just given them an indication they're going to sign up or if they have actually signed up. But if another county has gone through a formal bidding process and reached this one, then we can, do the piggyback on their, because if it's over 150,000 requires a formal bid selection process. And the exception are, basically there are three exceptions. One I've already mentioned, which is if another county or the state or somebody, another public entity has gone through the formal bidding process and reached the conclusion that this is the lowest and best, and we, under the cooperative purchasing agreement, then we could use that, their process as a substitute for our own and piggyback on that. We do that with the purchase of equipment on a pretty regular basis. The other exceptions are that if software is proprietary, has uniquely specific features that no other product can provide, or has only one available vendor, the county may seek a sole source exemption. But from listening to you, it doesn't sound to me, and I could be wrong, I don't know if we'd be successful. Maybe other counties are making that decision and declaring this to be a sole source product. To me, I like to stay away from the gray areas. And I struggle with this being a sole source because you indicated there are other companies you could go with that can provide the same service. They might just be twice as much money or whatever. So if that's the case, you go through the formal bidding process, those other people bid, these people bid, and you end up with them, which you complied with the law by going through the formal process. Like I say, that's one of the exceptions. And then software maintenance, if this was the same company, but it sounds to me it isn't. Annual software maintenance, licensing renewals, and professional software consulting are frequently classified as personal services and are exempt from competitive bidding. But this doesn't appear to me to fit into that exemption. So from my perspective, we'll probably have to go through the formal bidding process to get to this result.
Carol, didn't Ada County?
So Ada County has just finished this whole process, and that's who Ada County chose, was this company. They've just finished, and then Jefferson's the other one that is apparently in the contract process. But
So if we can get documentation from them that they went through a formal bidding process, then we would be able to utilize that bidding process for the purposes of
Okay,
not having to go through a formal bidding process and using the piggyback approach.
well, and I participated in Ada County, like we were all able to watch Ada County's all the presentations, the whole bidding, like how that all went
through the state association committee that you're on. I said that correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, we all invited to.
But
Okay,
So
all I'm saying, Carol,
We
is that
just
we
need the
need to see the documentation that they actually went through the formal bidding process, because claiming that they did and actually, we don't
sure.
want to piggyback on somebody who claims they did, but turns out they didn't.
yeah,
So
Is that pretty possible, do you think?
the question
Yeah.
really is, would we be able to get money from a source like PILT to do this?
So we want to look at the possibility of a funding source
Right.
before you want to go to pursue that. I think we're over a barrel in a sense because of the way the software world has been functioning in recent years. We about have to do it and forced our hand to get funding. We have to define what that funding source is, but we probably have some options, but we're up against some time constraints and some end of life issues that start being thrown at us. I'm really dumb in software world, but those are-
You're absolutely correct. It's something we need to do. It's a matter of when and how much longer.
and how are we gonna do it? And okay,
So question, do you have any monies in the budget or not at all?
This hasn't even been budgeted for. I mean, we could, it's something we could add to this fiscal year's budget.
You have a fee you pay annually to Harris.
Correct. So we're gonna have to have double bubble at least for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will have to pay.
Yeah,
Do conversion.
it's a good question though.
It's a big project.
Yeah. But how difficult do you think it would be for you to pursue Ada County on that?
I don't think that'll be hard. Yeah, I've got contacts that I can.
Let's do
reach out
that.
to Them. I can also reach out to Jefferson, who's just started.
Yeah. And
And there.
is Chase Jefferson's attorney?
For civil matters, I believe he is.
Okay,
There will be some unknowns on the total cost, because we don't yet know how many other counties are going to commit to this proposal. If we get all 8 or 7, that'll take 20% off the top, but we still need to, I think, have a budgetary number of.
yeah, we gotta look at this figure you're throwing at us right here and go from there. Everything else comes in, we go,
So another question, if we look at Hill, are you thinking what we normally do with Hill, pay that back, or there's no ability to pay it back?
So between Carol and I's office, we don't really have a revenue source to pay it back.
So it'd just be an expenditure.
And when we talk to this company particularly, it wouldn't be all up front, and we can check with the other companies as well. It would be a portion
Okay.
upfront, and then as they complete stuff, then we can double check with the other.
so there
companies.
may be a not pay as you go, but
There's initial payment on contract, then there's another
Right.
payment when they've implemented. So, so.
so
it's done.
stages of completion with a payment.
But
Okay.
It would all be done within 1 year.
Yes, that's the anticipation, is that it's all done within 1 year. And that they would like to be able to convert that all over and have it within a year, so that we're not having, because we are gonna have to pay for 2 for that time while we're doing that.
Right.
To get us, so that we're not having to do that for very long.
And we'll have to kind of get an idea of what that cost is gonna be. I mean, we're the one side we were
already- yeah, we
budgeted
already
for,
budgeted.
so we've got that. Okay,
Yes, that this year alone, it's gone up 50%, just references, so.
hello, these
Yeah.
little babies.
Yeah, that's
And
my
that one?
question is, how are we gonna keep up with the increased costs in the IT, the software, the hardware?
It's all,
It's
a lot of it's
just
AI
crazy.
driven right now.
Yeah.
It's a problem across all.
Our 3%
Right.
doesn't
So you
come
gotta-
close. Doesn't even drop in the bucket.
Okay, is that, I,
Yeah, so we'll come back to you with maybe some other information on the other contracts, and to kind of, if we're able to piggyback on those, and then.
get with Blake and have him review that information and make sure he's comfortable with what you've come up with and what their process was. Their meaning Ada County, because I guess that's the only one that's finished the process. Is that right?
Madison County as well, so I'll reach out to Madison County.
Okay,
Yeah, I know they.
so they're in and going as well.
They're going with someone different. but-
Oh,
Oh,
Is there anyone else in this situation right now, Josh?
Oh, yeah,
Any other
there's-
department?
you mean internally within the county? Yes, but there's already a plan in place, for the financial system, the payroll system. We're budgeted for that software conversion this year, and it's supposed to go live this year also. But after this, and those 3, we should be up to finally. I mean, and the biggest problem with all the software is, and we're in a 20-year deficit, that these companies haven't been keeping up, and now we can go ahead.
right.
So the other one, we just completed the sheriff,
Yes,
and that's completed now.
it's completed.
And that
We went live with that on Thursday.
That was very costly.
Very good. Yeah. And that was, I mean, this is $100,000 cheaper, but there's a lot more data in this system. We need to worry about it.
Okay. That sound like, okay, yeah, we hope you are.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be back.
Good.
Money again.
Thanks.
Talked about.
Good. Greg, Park and Recs, our Park and Rec Director, thank you.
Your timing was terrible.
What's that?
Your timing was terrible today.
Is it?
He's wondering why, but
Uh-oh. I'm about to be told, huh? Well, I guess all I can do is make my request and then I can find out. So
we've already drawn a line
straight
just
through.
above, just
You've got
above
a big
your,
old no in
agenda
capital
item.
letters, huh?
you know,
Okay,
anything
well.
after their conversation.
So what I'm bringing to you today is out on the golf course. We have 12 valves that are currently down and non-operational. So these valves have been down for the last year and a half out there, and Jeff has been turning everything on by hand. And when we get complaints that our golf course is brown, a large part of it is Jeff does not want to be out at midnight watering the golf course by hand. And I totally agree with him on that. So we've got a valve on hole number 1, 3 on hole 2, 4 on hole number 3, and 4 on number 5 that are currently down. We had Artesian come out and work on one on hole 3. They did 2 replacements for us and charged us $1,500. So roughly $750 a valve that they're working on. The tough thing is out there, until you really dig into it, you have no idea what you're doing. But to replace these valves, we'd be in roughly $9,000 that we do not have in the Parks and Rec golf course budget out there. And so I'm coming, asking similarly, is there a funding source we can tap to help make that happen? And
But as was
Park
mentioned
course
previously, sorry.
I'm going to be told no.
You have
so-
no, you have a revenue source.
We do. Out
And
there at
that,
the golf course.
that the assessors and the treasurer, they don't have revenue sources.
Right. We have a revenue source that has never produced revenue. Let's put it that way. So-
You haven't raised your fees enough.
well, we did this year, and we're tracking to hopefully produce some revenue this year. How much that will be is under question, right?
All right.
So-
Well, there was a little bit of tongue in cheek in what I was saying, but there is some reality there as well. But that is something to look at too. That there may be a possibility for that, for a revenue source of some type to come back in that you could work in to a budget and either codify it or that which would be the best to put it into statute, into our code.
Yeah, more clarity would definitely help on this situation.
Is there a motion?
I would make a motion to uphold this appeal based on strict obedience to the development code or strict interpretation of the development code. Saying that the permit is valid for 2 years. Therefore, that permit's expired, we cannot amend the application that's expired.
Okay. Do I have a second on that motion? I'll give you a second on it, Commissioner Hill. Further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
I said aye.
He said aye.
Okay. It's kind of at the same time there. I might have had my hearing aid improperly.
Like that.
Okay, motion passes.
That disposes of one of the 2 appeals.
Okay,
You now need to make a determination as to the second appeal, which was challenging the issuance of the original class 2 permit. And and I don't know if you had determined, having made this decision, that that renders that one moot, or whether you're deciding that one as not being timely because it wasn't brought within 10 days of the original appeal or the original permit being issued.
I feel like that's clear in code for me personally, that permit expired, and I think that's what we're saying in this,
Yeah. this might-
in this, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think that's the effect of what we just have had. So my motion would be that the second appeal, I don't know,
Well, there were 2 appeals, and
right?
I'm separating them because you consolidated them for hearing purposes, but there are two appeals.
Right.
And you've decided the one that, at least as I understand it through your motion. And so now I guess you need to decide as to the second appeal, whether you're whether it's rendered moot in light of the decision on this appeal, or whether you've decided that it doesn't have standing because it wasn't brought within 10 days of the original application. I mean, the original approval of the application.
I'm gonna take the second position that you described there, that appeal is invalid because now I don't even know where I was headed with that.
Wasn't timely filed.
Right. Right. The
That was
opportunity,
clear.
the opportunity for that appeal was long since passed. So that would be my motion on the second, as what we're referring to as the second appeal. Okay,
I'd second that. That was pretty clear.
okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right. And I heard you all this time, so.
Did you?
And so would you are you instructing staff now to prepare a formal written decision?
Findings of fact. Yes, we are.
Okay. So I'll work with Tom.
You would.
We'll get back to you within a couple of weeks with a formal written decision
Yes.
for your approval
Right.
based upon your decisions today. Is that, I
Okay.
just want to make
I
sure
think
I know
that's-
what
I think
our
that's
instructions
good.
are.
I think that would be our instructions as you outlined our instructions.
Okay.
As you helped us with that. Any questions on that, Tom's, Sarah?
Claire. That's a question.
Okay,
Of which appeal you're talking about, because you just talked about.
we made it very clear here.
I'll be happy to talk to you about that afterwards.
Theirs was the first or the second, that's all I was asking.
Yeah.
I was going to just say that, but thanks.
Thanks, Mitchell. Okay, with that, better see what I have to. I think our deliberation has been made. I think that's our last item on our agenda. And we've done the bills and yes. So I think we're probably at a position where we could entertain an adjournment of this.
I'll make a motion. We shut the meeting down.
I'll step in it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We're done.